Sound Bytes. Call the show now at 966-JAZZ. That's 966-5299. Toll free 800-790-0415 or soundbytes.org. Now, alongside Steve Ray and Dave Enright, here's Nick Francesco on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Good afternoon, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all the chips in the PC. It is Saturday, the 2nd day of July, Anno Domini 2022, and you lucky people, you're listening to Sound Bytes. I'm Nick Francesco.
I'm Dave Enright.
And I'm Steve Ray.
And it's 6 minutes after the hour. We're going to be bringing you news, views, things to choose, nothing to lose. Kick off your shoes. Don't get the blues. Here comes the news. Also, happy 4th of July. Hello. Happy 4th of July to all those of you who celebrate. I know there are many people around the world who listen to this show during the week who do not celebrate the 4th of July, but so many of us have in common some holiday where we got independence from Britain. So
I'm sorry that was so loud. He doesn't.
I know, I get it.
There was a sci-fi meme going around about, you notice how in most sci-fi movies all the aliens speak English, so Britain must have conquered them too?
Yeah, exactly. Well, here's the news. An unusually advanced hacking group has spent almost 2 years infecting a wide range of routers in North America and Europe with malware that takes full control of connected devices running Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. So far, researchers from Lumen Technologies' Black Lotus Labs say they've identified infected routers made by Cisco, Netgear, Asus, and Draytech. Dubbed ZuoRat, the Remote Access Trojan, which is the RAT part. The Remote Access Trojan is part of a broader hacking campaign that has existed since at least the fourth quarter of 2020 and continues to operate. The discovery of custom-built malware written for the MIPS architecture and compiled for small office and home office routers is significant, particularly given its range of capabilities. Its ability to enumerate all devices connected to an infected router and collect the DNS lookups and network traffic they send and receive and remain undetected is the hallmark of a highly sophisticated threat actor. The threat comprises at least 4 pieces of malware, 3 of them written from scratch by the threat actor. The first piece is the MIPS-based ZuoRat. Once installed, ZuoRat enumerates the devices connected to the infected router. That is to say, it counts every device on your network. The threat actor can then use DNS hijacking and HTTP hijacking to cause the connected devices to install other malware. 2 of those malware pieces, dubbed CBeacon and GoBeacon, are custom-made, with the first written for Windows and C++, and the latter written in Go for cross-compiling on Linux and Mac OS devices. For flexibility, ZuoRat can also infect connected devices. Black Lotus Labs said the command and control infrastructure used in the campaign is intentionally complex in an attempt to conceal what is happening. One set of infrastructure is used to control infected routers, and another is reserved for the connected devices if they're later infected. The discovery of this ongoing campaign is the most important one affecting SOHO routers, SOHO small office, home office, routers since VPN Filter, the router malware created and deployed by the Russian government that was discovered in 2018. Routers are often overlooked, particularly in this work-from-home era. While organizations often have strict requirements for what devices are allowed to connect, few mandate patching or other safeguards for the device's routers. Like most router malware, ZuoRat can't survive a reboot. Simply restarting an infected device will remove the initial ZuoRat exploit, consisting of files stored in a temporary directory. To fully recover, however, infected devices should be factory reset. Unfortunately, in the event connected devices have been infected with other malware, they can't be disinfected so easily. So if you have a router, you should just restart it. Better is, of course, to do a factory reset after you write down all of your changes. Right. So our poll of the week at soundbytes.org, that is Bytes with a Y, Francis would like us to remind you, is malware to infect routers is rampant. And your choices are, my router is fine, thanks. I'll check mine today. I'll check mine eventually. Going commando, baby. Router? Oh, that's my Scooby-Doo voice. Router? And other. So far, we have 17 votes in the poll, and My router is fine, thanks, is number one, followed closely by I'll check mine today. And, of course, you can vote in the poll at any time during the week, by the way. We've had people say, I love to vote in the poll, but I don't listen on Saturday. Poll's open all week.
It's closed. It's open 24/7.
It's open 24/7, 7 days a week until the next poll goes up, and then that one's open. At any rate, you can vote in the poll at soundbytes.org. It's front and center right on the front page. The big yellow and red "click here to vote in the poll" should be a hint as to how you do that.
You think?
And that's at soundbytes.org. Bytes with a Y, Francis would like us to remind you. And if you have more to say, or if you selected other, if you scroll down on the right under fascinating stuff, you'll see the forum. Second forum down is the poll discussion. Currently, at least the number one item under poll discussion is 2 July 22. Malware to infect routers is rampant. And of course, you can give us a call at 585-966-JAZZ. It's 966-5299. Toll free 1-800-790-0415. And as I said in the news item itself, people don't pay attention to their routers.
No.
They
Sit in the corner and blink at you.
Right.
Well, it's a forgotten item. I mean, it just does its job, and folks don't give even a second thought.
And I have not put a section on routers in the Security Tango, mainly because there are so very many of them.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a daunting task. There's so many, and each manufacturer has dozens of versions. So I haven't really tackled that, but you should look at the manual that came with your router. There's something at least that tells you how to get to the web interface, and you should do that. You should go to the web interface. The first thing you should do is change the default password. If you have not done that, you must. You must. Because everybody knows, particularly bad guys, all know the default password for every router. Mm-hmm. So change your admin password. Sadly, on most of them, you cannot change the name admin, but you can at least change
password and make it ridiculously long.
Right, make it ridiculously long, and then let your password manager remember it for you. You don't have to do it yourself.
Or the other thing, which folks don't always think of, is go ahead and print it off and tape it to the bottom of the router, because nobody's going to break in and steal your password, come in.
If they break in, if they can read that password, you've got bigger problems.
Taped on the bottom of your router.
Right.
That's what we did for folks all the time, because they'd sit there and do a factory reset. And they go, "What was our password?" I go, "Flip the router over. We wrote it down, reset it to that." "Oh, okay, thank you."
Yeah. So you want to do that. And I know that many of you have a router from your ISP, particularly if you're on cable or phone connection. And I get that. And that's you have no control over those. But many of you also have your own router just past that. Mm-hmm. That's what I have. I have my Greenlight is not really a router, so I had to have a router. So if you have your own router, do those things. And up periodically, probably once every 6 months is fine.
I was going to say, you can just put a reminder on if you use, say, Google Calendar or in your phone calendar, put in there, every 6 months, just a reminder to go in there and check for updates. It doesn't take that long. It'll tell you if there's an update and do it automatically. It's not like you got to spend, countless hours researching for this or that. It's there, and they provide it for you, and it'll do it itself. It disrupts service for a few seconds while it does the updating, but then you're back up and you're protected.
Right. So do that. Make sure you get that done. All right, to the phones. Our first caller is Larry from Rochester, New York. Hi, Larry. What's up?
Good afternoon, guys. I thought I would get in really early this week.
Okay.
I have an issue with calendar on my Mac. Basically, it's okay, but, when I put up a reminder or a notification, I think is what they call it, it will come up, and the options are fairly limited in terms of time when I want it to really come back up. And it stop at an hour. And sometimes I'd like it to be all 3 or 4 hours before I really have to act on it. So I started searching the internet, and I came up with something called BusyCal, which looks pretty busy for the Mac. But I was just wondering if there's any opinion on that. There seem to be so many calendars out there. I need something that works, but when I do have a notification come up, I'd like to be able to turn it off past an hour. And in Mac's preferences on it, an hour is all you get.
Well, in the calendar event, when you set your alert time, it's got 1 hour, 2 hours, 1 day before, 2 days before, or custom, where you can set your own custom alert time.
Yeah, I know where that is, but when the little didn't thought about that. Usually when I set that to come up, then there's a little notification tab that comes up to the right. And sometimes I'd just like to turn it off for maybe 2 hours before I really have to act on it.
So
snooze, not
delaying it. Yeah.
So if you just click snooze, it's 5 minutes. It's not 9 minutes, which is interesting. Who decided snooze was 9 minutes on full alarm clocks?
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's a way to change the snooze time.
And what was the software you found?
BusyCal.
Pardon?
BusyCal.
Yeah, BusyCal is a very, very popular Mac calendar service.
So it replaces the Macintosh calendar.
And that's what I'm after. Sometimes the snooze, like I said, I'd like it to be off for at least 3 hours, and I can come back and I know, okay, right now I really need to do this. But coming up once an hour, sometimes if I'm really busy on the machine, at least to me, is an annoyance. And so, as I said, when I went into the preferences, it doesn't seem to be any way to customize it and get beyond that.
There's probably a terminal command.
Probably.
I hate to go into terminal, but I can.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Let me brush up on terminal.
Yeah, we're Googling Mac change snooze time. So to give you either more options for snooze or a, you set it for 2 hours and then in 2 hours set it for an hour. That's
right. But I'm familiar with terminal. Let me brush up on it. I may go into terminal and see if there's some way I can adjust that. I just thought I would call and see it. I've never used BusyCal before, and in looking at it, looks like on the App Store you can just get it for free. But if I go to the author of it or the company, you can get a paid version too. And to me, paid's always better. Sometimes you get more stuff.
Fantastical is also another one.
Oh, I've seen Fantastical, just never really considered it. But let me take a look at it if you're suggesting it.
Yeah, so Nick found a snooze. You should get the option for 1 hour, 2 hours, 1 day,
1 week, or
1 week,
until
or
end time.
No,
I don't think it means the end of time. I think it just means the.
So you may need to click and hold on the later or icon instead of just clicking on it. That may give you the extra.
Yeah, if you hold the snooze button, you get those longer choices.
I'm trying to set an event for now to see if I can bring up a snooze.
Right. So it's not just click on snooze; it's click and hold, and then you get that drop down, which gives you 1, 5, 15, 30, 1 hour, 2 hours, 1 day, 1 week.
Oh, okay, because usually when I do it, an hour is the max. And sometimes I want it to just hold for several hours, and then I know when that really comes up, now it's time. I hate to see it just keep popping up.
Right. The longest you can hold it in terms of hours is 2. You don't get a scroll button that says, make it 4 hours or whatever. But you can do 1 hour, 2 hours, 1 day, 1 week.
Okay. All right. Well, you've given me some information here. I'm going to try a few things. I may put Fantastical on the machine first and just see if I like it.
Sure.
Fantastical, the theme, the color theme looks very, very similar to Apple Calendar. So it's an easy transition.
And I see it also has dark mode here also, though I don't use dark mode very often, but it does include it. So I'm presuming it'll work on the very latest Mac OS, I think, which is Monterey is what I have on here now.
Yeah. So dark mode is an interesting feature that in the early days of graphical computing, it was a white background with black text.
Right.
And that was revolutionary because it was paper white. It was like your paper really was. Well, before that, it was amber text on a black background for text mode.
Or green text.
Or green text, yep. So then a couple years ago, Apple came out with dark mode, which is a black background and white text. And everyone was so excited about dark mode. So if we'd have started with dark mode, would there be the same excitement about light mode now?
Yeah, really.
Well, and then, the elite hacksaws were all into dark mode because it was emo. But the good thing about dark mode is on your phone. Because you're not pushing as many pixels, you save battery.
So that's why a lot of people do it. And starting in, I think it was Catalina, there's an option. So during the day it's in light mode, and during the night it's in dark mode. Right. So it doesn't have that blinding white screen at you when you're using it in a darkened room.
Right.
Okay. My daughter always uses dark mode. Of course, she's never without the thing in her hand anyway.
Yeah.
But I looked at dark mode and didn't give it much of a thought. But since you're saying saving battery, I may try that sometime.
Well, it's not. I mean, you're not going to get another 4 hours out of the battery, but you're going to get some.
Couple of minutes.
Some benefit. Depends on your phone
usage.
And, how often you use it and everything else.
Yeah,
but
usage is.
You're going to get some. You're going to get some benefit out of dark mode.
Okay.
On the phone.
Well, thank you. I got to take the grandkids to the theater now, so I thought I would get in early and get some answers to this, and then I'll move on.
All right. Have fun
Thank
at the
you,
theater.
guys, and have a good 4th.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Any device that, your laptop or your iPad or your tablet of any sort, having that on dark mode means that you save at least a little bit of battery. Like I said, it's not going to, it's not going to double your battery life automatically all of a sudden.
But the way, you only get so much time anyways. Any way you can, cut the usage and save some minutes could be critical at times.
Right. So I do use dark mode on my phone. Not every app seems to do it.
Yeah.
But the ones that do save me a little bit of this or that. So it's a pretty good deal if you've got a phone that you sometimes think I wish I had a little more battery life. Maybe using dark mode will be.
Well, that's like on the mapping systems in the cars.
Right.
Once it gets down to dust and that, it automatically switches over to dark mode. So it's easier, and you don't have that bright, blinding white light in the car to be a distraction. The darker mode is so much easier to see and navigate.
In the dark, yeah, absolutely. But and like I said, it saves a little bit of battery life depending on how long your screen is on and how much of it is white space and et cetera, et cetera. But so if you're the sort of person who does use their phone significantly, dark mode can save you a little bit of time and effort. It's a pretty good deal. And it's easy to get to. It's in settings on every device. Pretty much has a dark mode.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of finding it on that device. In phones, it's usually in the settings somewhere. Same with tablets.
Often under display.
So you can find it and try. And of course, it's not permanent. And it costs you nothing. So if you try it and don't like it, go back to light mode. It's not rocket surgery.
Yeah,
do what you want
committed.
with it.
You're not committed to that one mode now.
Yeah.
And it's not, irreversible.
Right. And I mostly use my tablet as an e-reader. And so one of the things that I've set it up to do is I set my readers in dark mode, so it's white text on a black background, which also saves battery, particularly when I'm reading for hours at a time. There you really do get more battery life out of the thing. But I also lower the brightness considerably, and
well, it's easier on
that's
the
usually
eyes,
the biggest battery drain is how bright your screen is.
Right.
And
So,
in fact, a lot of the phones will have in fact, even computers will have an energy shaming feature.
yeah.
Will tell you what programs are using the most amount of energy on your device at the moment.
Right.
Right now, Safari on my computer.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can pretty easily make all those changes and adjust them to your satisfaction. Before we go back to the phones, let me remind everybody that there will be no lounge chat this weekend. It is the 4th of July weekend, and you should be spending it with your families. So we will not be although we are the Soundbites family, I understand that, but we think you should be out enjoying. And tomorrow's, I think, supposed to be a beautiful day.
Yeah, the whole weekend.
It better be because I'm going to be out in it. So
enjoying our independence and hope we continue to have that.
I will be celebrating my independence anywhere my wife tells me to.
Yeah,
that's how that's going to work.
Yeah, they're saying sunny skies tomorrow, high of 78. Independence Day, mostly sunny, high of 83.
Nice.
Keep the wind down so I can go flying.
Exactly. All right, to the phones. Our next caller is Mark from Greece, New York. What's up, Mark?
Hey, guys. Suggestion on dark mode for the phone.
Right.
I use a program called Auto Dark Theme. The little app out of the App Store, out of the Play Store. And during the day, I don't like the dark mode so much. A little hard to see things. So I set it to turn on when it starts getting dark out, and it automatically turns on. And then it has a time that it'll turn on in the morning, and it'll go back to regular mode.
Right. Nice.
Yeah, and it's really helpful because, like I said, sometimes when I'm in the car and stuff, and I'm trying to, navigate and stuff, it's a little hard to see.
Yep.
In the bright light, but it works awesome. It's a great little free little app, and I think it's great. So
excellent.
You might want to give it a try.
Thanks, Mark.
Yep. Have a good one.
You too.
Yep.
I also have a nighttime mode on my tablet that I use all the time. When it hits dusk, it does something to the blue. I forget whether it makes more blue or less blue or whatever it does.
Less blue.
Less blue. So that as I'm reading at night, I'm less awake.
And it doesn't keep you up as late. At least that's the anecdotal evidence.
Right, exactly. It's not particularly scientific, but on the other hand, it's free right in there, and it doesn't bother me in any way, except that I know sunset has happened because that's when it happens. There are a number of things that will turn on your dark mode at dusk. Also, some phones, not all I believe, but some phones will actually let you set it automatically. That is to say, it checks your camera to see how bright it is in the room, and then either brightens or dims the screen to match.
Adjusts accordingly.
Right. So you can turn that on some phones, not every phone. It seems to be one of the flagship choices or premium, whatever they call it. But it's possible to do that on some phones, and sometimes it annoys me if I pick up my phone to look at it and it's really dim, and I realize that's because there's a light right over my head shining. on the thing. So I have to put my hand over the
a lot of computers. That ambient light sensor is in the camera.
Right.
And so when people cover their camera for privacy, they're blocking the ambient light sensor, so it thinks it's dark, so it cranks the brightness on your screen, and suddenly you can't see it because it thinks it's too dark out.
Right, exactly. And we have, there's a company that actually makes a cover for your phone, a little sliding cover.
You got to be careful of those on your laptop so that when you close the lid, it doesn't squish the LCD display and crack your glass.
Right, and on your phone, it can do all the same sort of thing. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Back in just a couple of minutes with Dave Enright, Steve Ray, me, Nick Francesco, and you. It's 29 minutes after the hour. We are Soundbites right here on member-supported Jazz 90.1. See you in just a couple of minutes.
Computer talk you can understand. More Sound Bites is next on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
NBC News Radio, I'm Brad Siegel. Millions of Americans are hitting the roads and the airports this 4th of July weekend. AAA expects nearly 48 million people will travel 50 miles or more over the holiday. That's up nearly 4% from last year. The Auto Club says over 3.5 men to the war-torn nation as it fights off the Russian invasion. Zelensky thanked President Biden for his continued support. Brad Siegel, NBC News Radio.
You think you're having a bad hair day? Ach du Liebe. This is Sandra Zinglo with the Lowdown on Science. The Germans call it Struwwelpeter, or shockhead Peter. It affects people with dry, frizzy blonde hair. Those who have it comb and brush, spray and spritz, but nothing loosens their locks. It's more commonly known as uncombable hair syndrome. Bukit Basmanov at the University of Bonn in Germany studies rare hereditary hair disorders. Basmanov and colleagues were able to identify mutations in 3 genes involved with hair formation. The main gene forms proteins that hold together keratin fibers. Keratin is the basic structural component of hair and nails. A second gene helps the first gene see the keratin fibers easier. A third gene helps the first gene grasp hold of the keratin. Using mice, Basmanov showed that being born with 1 out of 3 injured genes leads to deformed hair follicles, and these misshapen follicles form quite the tangled tuft. As for what to nickname these 3 wise guy genes, how about Larry, Moe, and Curly? Our stooges. What knuckleheads.
The Lowdown on Science is produced by LDOS Media Lab in partnership with the University of California Irvine Science Communication and 89.3 KPCC, and made possible with the generous support of the Fuse Family Foundation. On the web at LOHDOWNonscience.org.